What is up, everybody? It is Tuesday, November 1st, and this is Casual Wrestling Daily, the daily pro wrestling news live show on YouTube where we discuss everything that is going on in the world of WWE and AEW. If you enjoy the content and you are feeling a little bit oozy today, you are welcome to go ahead and click the link in the description of this video to donate a couple of dollars. If not, that's okay. Just sit back and enjoy the next half hour of pro wrestling talk. As always, if you don't know, now you know, I am the Notorious Nerdy D, aka the voice of the Casual Wrestling Cult and host of the Casual Wrestling Community channel. A little bit of housekeeping. This is the official first day of season 1 content for the channel, so it begins today. This is the first. We did a soft run yesterday. Everything kind of went good, so we're gonna go ahead and just run it back and do it all over again today. But you can expect WWE in Review to post this Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central. That is the show where I go back and review previous pay-per-view matches. And you can expect to see, as always, the Casual Wrestling Podcast this Friday at 5 p.m. Central with Level Up Lauren and myself for your weekend enjoyment. Remember that we are on patreon.com/The Casual Wrestling Show. It is 100% free to follow. That is where we will post the channel and community updates. So make sure to join 100% free. There's no need to donate to join the Patreon. You just join and then you will be given all the information about the channel, any updates, anything that's happening. You can see it all happening there. So let's start the show as always by talking about last night. I was left with a few questions after Monday Night Raw. Interesting Monday Night Raw. Not bad, not good, just still kind of in a holding pattern going into Crown Jewel. Couple of things that I did notice that I wanted to touch on was, number one question for everybody out there, is Seth Rollins working as a babyface? Did he officially make the flip? Because with a change in hair, do we get a change in gimmick? Because it does feel like at this point he is working babyface. If he's working against Theory, who just last week he was kind of in the mentor position, but this week they turned Theory to kind of be upset with the things Seth Rollins said. So change of hair, just a little bit of change of attitude. Is this a change in gimmick? Is Seth Rollins babyface? We'll talk more about that on Friday on the Casual Wrestling Podcast. Question for everybody is, can Otis and Gable just adopt like a Saturday Night Live style gimmick where they get to be hilarious every week? Every week they get to come out in Halloween costumes and different styles of characters, because that was the best thing I've seen on Monday Night Raw as far as comedic wrestling goes in a long, long time. Otis is the WWE's Chris Farley that we didn't know we needed and we didn't know we had. Like, there's no way Otis should not be in a comedic role and not in the jobber role that he's kind of been in for the last month and a half, 2 months, but more in a role where he comes out and he puts on a show and he makes people laugh, because that's what Otis is good at. Sometimes these things just happen by accident. Sometimes it just happens to be like a Halloween style match and you get to have a little bit of fun, and then you discover that, or we rediscover, because we knew, but we rediscover that Otis is fucking funny. Like, he's somebody who needs to be out there on a daily basis or a weekly basis making us laugh. Question: was anybody else oddly annoyed that multiple times during that Halloween match, Corey Graves kept calling the kendo stick a candy cane? It's a candy corn. It's orange, yellow, and white is a candy corn. It's not a candy cane. Candy cane is red and white. I don't know why, for some reason, and I like Corey Graves. I have no problem with this. Is me nitpicking and being an asshole, but like, that was a candy corn. It wasn't a candy cane. I every time he said it, I yelled it at the TV. Am I the only one who thinks that the WWE had no clue where they were going with the Dexter Lumis and Miz story? And this is what we got, was this hokey 60 minutes reveal that made absolutely no sense. We'll talk more about that on Friday, but like, it just, that kind of felt like a mess. It felt once again like we're back to, we don't know where we're going. It almost felt like Triple H is getting to that point where it's like, all right, I've gone through the first 40 plays of my playbook. You know, the start of a game. I knew exactly what I was doing. Now I've got to start coming up with some shit on the fly. That felt like some shit that was come up with on the fly. And last thing, last night, shout out to Alexa Bliss and Asuka for winning the tag team championships. No problem there. I think this is paving the way for a Naomi and Sasha Banks return. That's what I think this is. It doesn't make a ton of sense. There was no reason Damage Control needed the titles taken off of them. I think we're paving the way for the return of Sasha Banks. I think there's rumors that she was backstage at a WWE live event. So I'm guessing that we're gearing up for that. That's just a hunch. I have no real information to go off of when I talk about that. All right, so let's get to what we came for. Today's docket. I have 8 articles and one kind of bonus story for everybody today. And we'll start right off the bat with here. This story comes from GiveMeSport.com. It's written by Louis Dangor, and the title of the article is Triple H plans for Kevin Owens on pause due to a white-hot SmackDown star. Triple H's plans for Kevin Owens within the WWE are on pause right now due to how popular Sami Zayn has gotten. Owens hasn't been seen on WWE TV in several weeks now, apart from a one-off appearance on the October 18th episode of NXT. And the reason for Owens' absence from TV, it has been claimed, is down to the popularity of his close friend Sami Zayn. At the time of writing, there's no word on what the plans are for Kevin Owens right now, but he was teasing getting involved with Sami's story with the bloodline before taking his absence from WWE. WrestleVote, speaking exclusively with Give Me Sport, is now reporting that KO isn't on TV because Triple H has paused his plan due to how over Sami Zayn has gotten with the bloodline. I think I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. I think this was fairly obvious that this was an audible. This was called. This was Sammy was just supposed to do this a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden the fans got behind it. It was right around the time we went to Canada that the fans went nuts for it, and now Sammy is an official member of the bloodline, and he's one of the most integral parts of the bloodline. As far as Kevin Owens goes, I don't know that if holding Kevin Owens out because of this is the right play just because Sami Zayn is doing his thing on SmackDown. I've never been a big fan, and AEW did this with CM Punk, in taking a superstar who is on a hot streak and coming into the Triple H regime. Kevin Owens was on a hot streak. He came in hot. Triple H had him firing on all cylinders. We were all behind it. We were all about it. And then to just pull him from TV feels like a real weird thing to do. It's heating a superstar up to that level, to a hot level, is not simple. It's not like you can just turn it on and off. It may not click the next time. And it was clicking this time. And I don't like the idea of just turning the stove off and letting Kevin Owens cool down. What I think someone like Kevin Owens should be doing right now is there's plenty of opportunity on even something like NXT to have him go down to NXT and just run through a portion of the roster, have him just beat up on guys, smash guys, cut promos where he says, look, if you don't bring it every single night, then this is what's going to happen. And if he goes through the who's who of NXT stars, first off, he puts eyes on the NXT product, which is never a bad thing. Secondly, losing to Kevin Owens, even as a top NXT guy, that doesn't hurt you at all. Like there's no shame in losing to Kevin Owens. And thirdly, I think someone like Braun Breaker could benefit from some kind of run. If Kevin Owens really has nothing else to do, let him go down and work with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker feels like the guy who could benefit from a mentorship with Kevin Owens because they're both big motor guys. They're both a little undersized, but like heavy motor. They run hot. They're it's kind of the effort and the physicality that causes people to really get behind him. So I think that like a little situation where Kevin even mentors him, or they go into a feud and Braun Breaker could learn a lot from someone like Kevin Owens. I assume though, by this article, that this means we are edging closer and closer to the demise of the bloodline, that we're closer rather than farther away from the demise of the bloodline. I don't think we're making it to WrestleMania. I don't think the bloodline survives to WrestleMania because I can't see shelving KO for that long of a period of time unless they're back there, panicking and trying to cook up some kind of idea for what they want to do with KO. But it doesn't seem KO's not a hard guy to book. You can book him literally anywhere and he works. He makes it work. Like even booking him back into a storyline right now with Elias would work, where he just came back out and continued, I told you you were a liar. Like the payoff from that has never happened, which I think it rightfully should. At some point, KO has to acknowledge that Elias came back, right? And that Ezekiel's gone. To me, that just makes sense. Story number 2 comes from WrestlingInc.com and is written by Sean Newman. And this article is titled, Bayley comments on a possible match against Trish Stratus. So Bayley is eyeing a pro wrestling legend for a potential marquee matchup in WWE. Speaking with Sportskeeda Wrestling this week, the multi-time women's champion said there's one veteran she'd love to take inside the ring. I would love to have a match with Trish Stratus someday, Bayley said. Stratus has only made 12 appearances in the WWE since retiring as the WWE Women's Champion in 2006. Stratus' 7-year in-ring career with the WWE was record-setting at the time, with 7 World Championship reigns, cementing her legacy as one of the greatest performers in WWE history. In recent months, Bayley and Stratus' paths have appeared closer and closer to crossing. Stratus and Bayley got into a physical altercation at a house show in August. The two women traded verbal jabs on WWE Raw, with Stratus telling Bayley she could go real quick from I am retired to I was retired if you don't stop running your mouth. But since that exchange, there's yet to be any follow-up between Stratus and Bayley on WWE television. This could be fun. This feels like it could be fun. Well, I mean, it does feel like everybody goes after Trish Stratus and Lita. It feels like those are the two women that just kind of get the call out from all the new superstars. I'm not a huge fan of like bringing back the Goldbergs and bringing back the Trish Stratus for these one-off events, but they can be fun when booked correctly. Like when booked in between a hot run or to build up a champion, they make sense as just like a one-off match that has nothing behind it. I don't know that I love it, right? I do think that, I mean, looking at Trish Stratus, she could probably still go. She looks to be in better physical condition than at least 50% of the roster. That's men and women. So I don't think there's a problem there. This feels to me a lot like something you would do at WrestleMania, right? Something where you need a little bit of star power. You need to build that promotion. You need somebody on the microphones talking. To me, this feels like if you had a WrestleMania booked in Canada, this would be your go-to match to build that up. But it's funny to me when I think about Trish Stratus, and I always imagine her being much older just because of how long ago she wrestled and like her being involved in kind of that older era of wrestling. And it's funny to me because she's 46 years old. And at 46 years old, that puts her right in line with some like current main level superstars. Like AJ Styles is 46, Asuka's 40, Shayna Baszler's 42, Sheamus is 44. So she's right in that prime age to come back for like one more run. So I think that while this is fun, I don't know. They can't continue to just keep relying on Trish Stratus to come back and fight these younger talents. The more you do it, the less appeal it has, I believe. Third story of the day. Oh, this one's great. This one's great. When I saw this, I had to laugh. This one comes from ringsidenews.com and it is from Subjeet Mukherjee. I murdered that name. But the belief is that The Rock would have a difficult time in modern day pro wrestling. Dwayne The Rock Johnson has already cemented himself as one of the all-time greats in the world of professional wrestling. His near infinite charisma and amazing mic skills took him to the top of WWE. However, there are those who believe The Rock would have a difficult time in the modern day pro wrestling world, including Matt Hardy, who said, "Nobody was more over than The Rock. Like Stone Cold and The Rock, they ran the joint. Rock knew exactly what he needed to do to get reactions from the crowd, and he was the master of it. No one was better. If you inserted him into today's pro wrestling, where it's like mandatory, you're much more like a character or a cartoon, and you have to go out and work an amazing match, it would be a lot more difficult for The Rock. But like The Rock, as far as being a character and being an amazing, solid athlete, doing more basic fundamental stuff, nobody was better at constructing a match. That was a rough quote. Val Venus also recently dragged The Rock's wrestling ability. The Rock was last seen for the 20th anniversary of Friday Night SmackDown back in 2019, and it is still likely that he will face Roman Reigns next year at WrestleMania. All right, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to digest that a little bit because there was a lot. There was a chopped up quote there in rough English, but I got through it. All right, so this is the fucking mentality right here. This mentality by Matt Hardy, and this is the IWC mentality. Don't get it twisted. This is the IWC mentality. This is the thing when they go in their forums and they talk online. This is the rhetoric that the IWC speaks to make themselves feel good and feel smart. But here's the truth, right? It is this fucking mentality. It is this mentality that character wrestlers like The Rock, like Stone Cold, it is that mentality that holds back 90% of potential superstars. If you're telling me right now, if Matt Hardy's problem is The Rock was a character who lacked the wrestling talent to work matches, cool. I want that skill set. I take that skill set any day over the ability to be a skilled X and O wrestler. Like, this mentality is so fucked up. Look at guys like LA Knight, who is emulating The Rock clearly and getting over with the casual crowd. Look at what's happening here. I mean, this is the problem with the IWC mentality, right? The IWC gets inside of these guys' heads and lets them think it's cool. It's hip. It's the hipster thing to work these long, technical, drawn out, flippy flip matches. This is AEW's problem, guys. AEW has all the talent, has all the characters, has all the right components, but you guys shit on the ones that are good characters, right? You shit on the Orange Cassidys. You shit on those guys because they're not indie enough for you guys. And what IWC don't understand is the casual fans, to put this in football terms, we want touchdowns. We don't want to see the schematics of the plays. We don't want to see the blocking schemes. We want touchdowns, man. Girls dig the deep ball, not the schematics of the play. We want charismatic character wrestlers. That's what casual wrestling fans want. That's what kids want. That's what 80% of wrestling fans want. This is why Roman Reigns does not get the credit that he deserves week in and week out. And it is because Roman Reigns is a character, because he's playing a role. He's playing the bad guy. And the IWC jumps all over and says Roman can't win by himself. Roman can't do it by himself. Roman doesn't have a big enough moveset. This was the problem with John Cena, right? The 5 moves of doom. They all lean on this idea that if you don't have a skill set of 400 confusing moves, that you're just not, you're just not good enough. You're not a real wrestler. It's why Drew McIntyre doesn't get the credit that Drew McIntyre deserves. It's because he's a character, right? But let the People's Elbow be the prime example. Let the People's Elbow stand as the perfect example of getting over with casual fans versus getting over with the IWC, right? Because this is Val Venus's problem. Val Venus's big thing that he went into was that the People's Elbow was just an elbow drop and it wasn't a technical move and it was kind of stupid, but The Rock got it over, right? Let that be proof that the casual mass audience, the massive wrestling audience, they do not give a shit about how technical your moves are. We just care about how you present and sell it. We're willing to buy into the fact that elbow is the most ineffective move in the world as long as you sell it with this build-up and it wins matches. That's all we need. That's all we need, because at the end of the day, that's all we're looking for. We're looking for a move that finishes the match. The art of the finishing move is lost in professional wrestling, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why we no-sell finishing moves. I don't understand why guys are even hesitant to commit to having a finishing move. If you look at Bryan Danielson, who's extremely good at what he does, and I'm not going to knock him for what he does, but I saw an article where he talked about using a different finisher every night because it was kind of felt more real. We're not looking for real when we're looking for wrestling. We're looking for a Marvel movie, right? You guys are overcomplicating these things. If your goal is like Daniel Bryan to be a great technical wrestler, I get it. I understand why he's doing it. I'm saying that if you're a young up and coming wrestler trying to get over with the crowd, that's not the mentality to take, right? You overcomplicate this. What you need is a move that you can sell to the crowd, a package, a whole a schematic, like just something that puts you in a package that the crowd can get behind. They can buy the t-shirt. They can mimic the move. Nobody goes to Marvel movies. Or nobody goes to an X-Men movie, right? To see Wolverine reinvent himself and fight with guns. Like, that's not what when we go to WWE, we want to see the finishing move. We want to see Wolverine's claws. That's what makes sense. I don't get, this is stupid, Matt Hardy. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I don't want to shit all over people, but like The Rock would be the number one guy in any wrestling ring he stepped into anywhere. Mike's skills better, his in-ring work better. So what? He can't flip and jump off the ropes and do 700 moves, man. All you need is about 10 moves that you could do real well, that you can sell real well. And if you can tell a story in that ring, that's all you have to be able to do. Story number 4 here. We've got, this one. When I came across this one, sometimes these stories just come and it's wrapped up in a box for me. It's just here. It's like, here, you need content. Here you go. This is great, right? So this story comes from Talia Assad Iqbal on ringsidenews.com. And this story is Bow Wow is after a spot on the AEW roster. Little Bow Wow. Let that sink in. Bow Wow is after a spot on the AEW roster. So back in February of 2021, Bow Wow turned heads when he spoke about wanting to join WWE with intentions to train under WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi. After almost 2 years, he's trying his luck with AEW. Award-winning rap star Bow Wow took to social media to express his interest in joining the AEW roster. In a tweet to AEW president Tony Khan, Bow Wow asked for a roster spot on AEW. The fact that Tony Khan liked the tweet should speak volumes. Only time will tell if AEW adds another celebrity appearance to their growing list. This shit writes itself, man. This shit, and I know I come off as an AEW hater. I don't want to be. I watch the product. There are things I like. I'm a big MJF fan. I have no problem with Moxley. There are things that I like. But like when I see things like this, and WWE does this too, don't get me wrong. But like when I see things like this, you can't tell me that Little Bow Wow isn't the perfect celebrity to represent AEW. 5'7", like just like everything about Little Bow Wow screams little man's wrestling. When I read this, I just imagine Jungle Boy and Little Bow Wow in the ring, one-on-one, like Jungle Boy riding down on the shoulders of a grown man, Little Bow Wow coming out, can't see over the ring apron, and them getting in that ring and they they're going to go one-on-one main event on like Rampage, because this feels like tailor fit for Rampage, right? Tonight on Rampage main event, we got Jungle Boy takes on Little Bow Wow. And what bothers me is, like, I get Bow Wow can say whatever he wants. Bow Wow can claim he wants to be a WWE superstar. He can claim he wants to be an AEW superstar. He can claim whatever he wants. These guys, first off, half these guys don't understand the amount of fucking work it takes to actually get into a ring and do this. That is why there is a level of respect for people like Pat McAfee and Bad Bunny, who actually go and put in the work on a day in and day out basis to make themselves look presentable when they get into the ring. But like, let's talk about Tony Khan liking this tweet. And the fact that shows that Tony Khan has some kind of interest in bringing in Bow Wow for at least a one-off. Like, first of all, what is Bow Wow's? I don't even know. What is Bow Wow's audience retention at this point? Like, how many people are Bow Wow fans? Because he's kind of aged out of the little kids, and I don't know that Bow Wow is just making a splash in like the adult music industry. I don't know the last Bow Wow song I listened to. But you know, you guys in AEW, you got a roster full of exceptional talent. And this is probably going to main event Rampage one week. Like this is why there's fuel for me to talk about AEW the way I do, is because things like this happen. And if Tony Khan just doesn't like the tweet, doesn't clout chase, doesn't look for that like celebrity approval, if Tony Khan just sits back and goes like, I'm not touching this one, you're better off. But the fact that he likes it means that like he's at least acknowledging this is a possibility. All right, so let's move on to story number 5 as we continue to go through kind of an AEW segment here. This story comes from Raja.com, and it is written by Andrew Hatcher. And this was kind of a little deeper dig here, but Eddie Kingston explains why his promos are like therapy sessions. So during his recent chat with the ESPR Wrestling podcast, All Elite Wrestling's own Eddie Kingston explained the reason why his promos are like therapy sessions. Check out an excerpt from the interview below. I don't call them promos. I call them therapy sessions. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's my therapy. I'm letting out a lot of anger and a lot of things I can't let out now because society tells me I can't. You know what? You know what I mean? Getting arrested for assault is not a good thing anymore. Laughs. It's mostly my therapy. It's not a promo. It's something I pull from real life, and it's probably something on my mind that day, that year, that week, that month, that lifetime, so I just let it out. Let that sink in. Let that quote sink in. Just let that quote sink in. And you guys, like, stop giving me the fuel to talk about AEW if you don't want me to talk about AEW. Stop letting these guys go on these podcasts and just say whatever they want, because let this sink in. Jesus. And you guys wonder why there are issues in the locker room. You guys wonder why there are problems in the back. When you have literal people talking like psychopaths. You have literal wrestlers talking like they are psychopaths, saying that AEW is not theatrical wrestling. This is not scripted wrestling. This is not a television show where we go out to further the product. This is a fucking insane asylum. AEW is now an insane asylum, right? Because Eddie's promos, they're not meant to further a story. They're meant to let out his suppressed psychosis. That's what he's going to. These are his therapy sessions. They're not stories. They're not building to a bigger purpose. This, number one, is why I don't want to interview wrestlers, because you say stupid shit like this in front of me, and I'm not going to shut the fuck up. I have to come back and say, what are you talking about, Eddie? What are you talking? Like, obviously, Eddie has never played a team sport. It's obvious. Like, it's so obvious that Eddie has never been a part of anything that has a team aspect to it, because this is the most non-team mentality I have ever fucking seen. Who is steering the ship right now in AEW? Like, who is in charge over there? What are the talent relations? What does a talent relations meeting look like? When this comes across the desk, when they're sitting down to go over like what happened in the week, and this comes across the desk and you go, hey, you guys, did you guys hear what Eddie said on the ESPR podcast? No, he said that he uses our ring promos as therapy. What? Eddie said, who okayed that? But you don't have to get anything okay. Everybody, fucking AEW is just a free-for-all. You can do whatever you want. You can go promote yourself however you want. And you guys still think that is the way to build a healthy company, right? Then you got guys like Jericho who come out and they're calling CM Punk a cancer because he's fucking basically irritated by this. This is what irritates CM Punk, because he understands, I do believe CM Punk wants the company first. Now, he always believes he's what's best for the company, but he does have a company first mentality. And I'm not going to argue that. I do believe that is what CM Punk wants. He wants to better the company through everybody doing the right thing, just as long as it benefits him. It's a weird kind of push and pull, right? But who wants to pull Jericho and Eddie Kingston aside and tell them we're all on the same fucking team here? Like, somebody needs to tell Eddie Kingston we're all on the same fucking team. Like, you know, when you go out there in the ring, Eddie, you don't need to get shit off your chest. What you need is a fucking therapist, because these promos are supposed to benefit the company first, the story second, and the guys in the ring third. That is what a promo should do. A promo should benefit the company. It should further the story. It should get both guys over. If you're being a bad guy, we should make you more of a bad guy. If you're the good guy, we should try to get you more over with the crowd. What it's not supposed to do is be just a shit on everybody fucking session, which is what promos have become in AEW. Promos in AEW are now like rap battles, right? And this is going to age me like a motherfucker, but sometimes it feels like watching 106 in Park. It's Freestyle Friday, man. We're just out here trying to we're just trying to shit on the person across the ring from us to make them look like shit and to build ourselves up. This is what happened with Adam Page and CM Punk, right? Adam Page went out there and went into business for himself. He wasn't furthering the company. He wasn't building up the logo. He wasn't building up the story. What he did is he went into business for himself, and CM Punk didn't like it because, like I said, CM Punk goes, what is this doing for the story? Now, you can shit on CM Punk all you want, but CM Punk's job is to further the brand, and I feel like that's what he was trying to do. But like I said, CM Punk always feels like he is what's best for the brand, and I think that's always been the CM Punk problem. That's so crazy. Let's get off of AEW for a minute. Let's talk about this. This is a little bit more lighthearted here. This comes from Wrestling Inc. Matthew Wilkinson. Short little article here that says Kevin Owens declares this WWE star the most painful to wrestle. When speaking to the Happy Hour, Kevin Owens made it clear that there is one person that is the most painful to wrestle, Bobby Lashley. There's nothing about Bobby Lashley that doesn't hurt. Even when you hit him, he's just made out of rock, so you hurt your arm hitting him, Owens said. Not a lot here to unpack. I just kind of gave me some, introspective that I want to talk about. Like, I've always wondered if there were wrestlers who show up day of TV taping, day of indie event, day of whatever, and they look at the call sheet and they go like, oh, fuck, I'm wrestling this guy. Like, there's got to be, right? There's got to be guys that you look at that list and you go, I'm wrestling that guy's shit. Didn't I tell you guys I quit today? Like, I imagine if I showed up, I have no wrestling skills, but if I showed up and I saw that, hey, man, Notorious and RDD, you're up against Sheamus today, I'd go, no, I'm not. I quit. Like, today was my last day. You didn't know that? I don't want to go out there and get hit in the chest 47 times. Or if they told me, like, you're wrestling Gunther today. No, man, I don't want to get slapped in the chest. Like, you got to see that and go, oh, shit. I don't want to get in the ring with that guy. And not even for, like, negative purposes, just like, this is going to hurt today. Like, even someone like, I don't know why I'm going to drag in Ryback, but we talk like Ryback, right? And I'm not saying, he appeared to be stiff. Not that that's a bad thing. I think sometimes that works. Or Goldberg, they're stiff wrestlers. But, like, I've got to wonder if, like, CM Punk didn't show up and was like, Ryback again, fuck, I don't want to do this. The Lashley thing is funny because with Lashley, I don't think that's an indictment against Lashley. That's just, like, he's a big, strong guy, and fucking he's built like a tank, so anything he does is gonna hurt. But I think it's funny because, like, we forget, right? I mean, I forget times. Wrestling hurts. I'm sure these guys are beat the fuck up the next day, and, like, so who you wrestle matters, and, like, how many times a week you wrestle matters, and, like, when you have to show up guys like the Usos who are doing Monday, Friday, Saturday, you're doing live events, like, that's a lot of a physical toll on your body that just, I think, who you're wrestling probably plays a big part in that. Speaking of CM Punk, let's talk about him. This comes from Wrestling Inc. Olivia Quinlan says, former official believes CM Punk returning to WWE is a possibility. Mike Chioda is a face that many WWE fans across different generations will recognize, having refereed for the company from 1989 until his release in April of 2020. He has officiated a few matches in AEW, having firsthand experience in both companies. He knows the way things operate, and he has now shared his insight into what he would do if he were in Tony Khan when it comes to the CM Punk controversy. I wouldn't let go of CM Punk because from a business point of view, whether they start pinning Punk down the road a year or two from now or whatever they do with him, I think they're going to take him away from AEW. I think he's speaking on WWE when he's doing this. Chioda said on his Monday mailbag. That would be a huge draw in ratings on TV for WWE if they got Punk back. Reports of Punk's contract being bought out surfaced a couple weeks ago as a result of the brawl at All Out in September between him and his trainer, Ace Still in the Elite. There was a suspension that followed. Wada. Everybody knows that story. This feels like an opinion that comes from someone who's out of touch with the kind of new WWE, right? That's out of touch with the way I think Triple H kind of runs things. And it comes, once again, from somebody who's not looking at chemistry and is just looking at, like, strictly what person A does for the ratings. And I don't like that, because I think Triple H, my faith is, and my belief is that Triple H knows Punk doesn't play well. He doesn't play well with others when he doesn't get what he wants. What I said earlier is I think Punk wants to better a company, but that's only if it benefits him because he believes he's what's best for the company. I don't think that either side would agree on what the value of either side is. I think both sides would overvalue themselves when it came to negotiations, right? I think that WWE would lowball CM Punk with a low dollar value. And I think CM Punk would believe he's worth a lot more than he is at this point, even though he is a little bit of damaged goods, whether you believe that's justified or not. I do think that AEW has tarnished his name enough to make there's a skepticism with him in the professional wrestling business. Is he really a big ratings draw, like long term for a wrestling company? I don't think so, because to do that you have to wrestle consistently, and it feels like Punk may be a little bit brittle. It feels like so could he work in like a managerial situation? Yeah, but I don't think Punk wants that. I still think Punk wants to be the guy. I still think Punk sees himself as having the ability to be the guy. I know he kept talking about putting other guys over, but it never really felt like that's what his intentions were. And when you look at the WWE roster, I think the WWE roster is fine. I don't think it's in need of a 40-something-year-old superstar who is a little bit of a curmudgeon to come in and kind of fuck with the chemistry. I think right now it looks, at least from the outsider looking in, that there's chemistry in the locker room. So I wouldn't come in and shake that up. I think the ratings boost would be too short-lived to come in and kind of fuck up the future, like the roadmap ahead for your company. Now, saying that, like bringing him back for one WrestleMania main event and kind of giving him closure that he's always been looking for, that could be fun. That could be a really like a feel-good story. If they brought CM Punk back, kind of like The Rock did to him, where he comes back from like wins the Royal Rumble, have CM Punk come in, win the Royal Rumble, because that's kind of where he bowed out. So it'd be poetic to have CM Punk come back, win the Royal Rumble, 3 months build up, have him win the title at WrestleMania, and I would have him retire as the champion. I would. I think that would be a fitting way for CM Punk to bow out of the professional wrestling industry, would to hold the title up, show up the next night on Monday Night Raw, say, I'm old, I'm tired, I'm beat down, and lay his boots and the title in the ring and say, thank you guys for the run. And then if it worked out, he could take some kind of backstage role. He could take some kind of mentorship role. But to me, that is the most poetic way that CM Punk could return to WWE, have a moment in the spotlight, get his WrestleMania main event, and then get out of the way of the young guys, so that it doesn't. The longer Punk is around, the more viable he becomes. So I think if we let Punk stay around too long, he's gonna get upset. Something's gonna piss him off, and that's just my belief. That's just my belief, right? He could always be a break glass in case of emergency thing like Brock, right? One-offs, you need him for a crown jewel event or something like that, you could bring him back. Like I said, I don't think his headspace, I don't think he lives in that headspace where he could be a one-off guy. I think the money would have to be particularly good, right? But I would never say never, right? I would never say never. I believe that there's always a path back. In this case, I think it's a long shot. Last story of the day, guys. This was interesting, right? I didn't expect to see this. And I only found this on one website, only on Ringside News from, this is Monique Aftar, says, Mandy Rose is offering an extreme service behind her paywall. Mandy Rose went back to NXT, and that ended up being the best decision of her career. The Toxic Attraction star is currently on a record-breaking reign as the NXT Women's Champion. She's also raking in the cash behind her paywall, and now she's offering a little extra service. Get ready for this, guys. Those who've already subscribed to Mandy Rose's paywall know the type of content she posts on her site. Ringside News has confirmed that Mandy Rose is rating male genitalia on her paywall as well. Of course, this service is only applicable for those fans behind her paywall who drop $55 on a double nipple photo. All right, cool. Mandy Rose will return to NXT tonight to celebrate her 1-year anniversary as NXT Women's Championship. Let this sink in. Let this article sink in. Let this shit sink in. When I read this, I had to read it twice. 3 times. I don't know. I had to figure out what is... This is a WWE... Keep in mind, this is a WWE employee. This is a wrestler under the WWE brand of wrestling. None of this shit sounds PG to me. How is Mandy Rose circumventing the whole PG situation that's going on kind of under the radar? I didn't know this was going on. Secondly, what the fuck is the paywall for a double nipple photo? What is a double nipple photo? Like, doesn't everybody have double nipple? Like, I'm trying to figure this stuff out. Just is ridiculous to me. This is weird. But does she just sit around? Does like Mandy Rose in her free time in between matches or in between training just sit around and open up random dick pics? Like, is that and sends like, is Mandy Rose the Dave Meltzer of wiener pics? Is she out here giving 5-star ratings to dudes like wrestling fans who are sending? Who is doing this? Who is sending her? Like, what is going on? This is like porn star level shit. This is not WWE superstar stuff. Like, is she literally opening up her phone and going, that's a 5-star penis. That's a 5-star penis right there, right? Her website is fucking hilarious. And not her actual website, but like she has this link tree when you went, because I went to her Instagram to hit her link tree to see like if this was real. I wanted to see if this was a real thing. And when you pop open her link tree, you get brought up to like this list of like things that Mandy Rose offers. And on there is like, you can see like you could get workout help. You could buy Demandy's donuts, or you could get your wiener rated, right? Like, what the fuck? What is this like menu? This has to, like, once WWE there, do they know? Does Triple H know this is going on? Like, this is insane. This is literally insane. Like, I can't believe this is a real, like, I can't believe I'm sitting here. When I started to do this show, when I talked about I'm going to do a new show, I never thought this would be the type of story or type of thing that I would be talking about. I just never thought that would be a thing. Last thing I want to talk about is this morning we got NXT budget cuts. WWE has released 5 wrestlers from NXT developmental brand. The following people are no longer with the company as of Tuesday morning, according to PW Insider. And that is Bodie Hayward of Chase U, Sloane Jacobs, Erica Yan, Demarius Griffin, and Roofing. We wish you the best of luck on your journey. I'm sure you will turn up somewhere. I'm sure AEW and Impact could always use more people on their roster. So hopefully those people land on their feet and do not real familiar. Bodie Hayward, I know who that is, but outside of that, I am not real familiar with those names. So that is what it is. Let's talk about what to expect tonight before we go off air. NXT is tonight. I'm still getting my feet wet in the world of NXT. I've been enjoying it. There's a lot of good wrestling. Still think Halloween Havoc may be my sleeper for premium live event of the year when we do the Notorious Awards. But tonight we're going to get a Mandy Rose celebration. So anybody who's excited about that, 1 year as champion, we'll see what happens. It looks to me like that may be winding down as there's some pretty good contenders in the NXT women's division. We'll get a Schism sit down with Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter. That's fun. That's interesting. I like Schism. I think it's an interesting group. I think it's there was all the White Rabbit talk, but I don't think he has. I don't think there's anything to do with that. And then we're getting R-Truth versus Grayson Waller, which more R-Truth for me is always a good thing. I enjoy me some R-Truth. But that's all the time we have today for Casual Wrestling Daily. We will pick up where we left off tomorrow. Make sure to tune in every weekday, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Central here on YouTube Live. And make sure to check out the Casual Wrestling Podcast that posts every Friday at 5 p.m. for your weekend listening enjoyment. Also, make sure to check out tomorrow will be the first episode of WWE in Review. We're doing the CM Punk and John Cena match from 2011, Money in the Bank, and I will rank that match on the most notorious casual wrestling match list ever. As always, I am the Notorious Nerdy D, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Hey, Casual Wrestling Community Show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Dope show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like the show, but you